All right, real quick I just want to touch on something Grant said. We were talking about being obsessed versus being prioritized. And he mentioned, sometimes obsession is something you turn on, you turn off. I want you to be obsessed with one thing and one thing only: integrity. Integrity. When I say integrity, I don't mean being moral necessarily. What I mean is being whole. Being whole. You are obsessed, but you're not one-track mind, singularly focused on your obsession. You're obsessed with having your priorities in order. And that is going to bring the sacrifice of obsession. That's good. But what it's going to keep you from, if you're obsessed with integrity, it's going to keep you from one priority, sabotaging all the rest. So it's a slight shift. It's from being completely obsessed with my business to being completely obsessed with having the whole life picture that I've clearly identified down to the action steps of what I'm going to do. That's different for most people. That's very different. Most people can't tell you what that looks like in detail enough to actually do it. That's what we're going to have in here. That's why I always say this is life-changing, world-changing stuff from the view of being a leader, because those who have that have tremendous influence with people who want the same thing. Does that make sense? It also entails sacrifice. Now, one caveat I'll give here is that it's impossible to have that perfect integrity all the time. Meaning it's impossible to keep your number one thing, your number one thing, your number two thing, your number two thing all the time. It may be that way, like as far as your priorities are right, but I'm talking about as far as in execution. But that's not going to be because you failed or you changed your priorities. It's going to be because of what I call the seasonality of life, right? Life is in seasons. You're going to have seasons where it seems like you're more focused on your business, and you are, or more focused on your family, for example. But it's not that your priorities have changed. How will I know that that's what's happened? That's what I'm going to give you today. When you go into a season of work or a season of finance where you're going to focus on it more, you're not going to make it your priority. You're actually going to ensure that those things that you're taking from, so say the family's your number one, you're going to ensure that even though you may be borrowing time from number one and you're giving more focus to number two, that you're not going to be shifting priorities, because you're going to run to number one and you're going to say, what do I need to do in this season to make sure it's still my priority? You see the difference? Very, very important. But we don't do that. We let seasons sabotage us. We get our priorities out of order. We live these discontented lives, and then we come back and say, I need to get back to my focus again. That doesn't have to happen. So one of the great things about these pillars I'm going to be giving you today is that it actually allows you to change with the season without changing your priority. Does that make sense? All right, so let's dive into that. So you should all be on this page.